So, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, the topic for the moment is the future of TV advertising, bird's eye view. This is going to be moderated by the one and only Rana Basu Thakur, Chief Mentor, Just Lateral Thinking Solutions Private Limited. And all of you already know, he's been at the helm of things with Reliance Telecom for about 20 years. So that brings along with him a great pool of experience. Can I please request Rana Basu Thakur to join me over here on stage? Please give it up for him. Thank you. Yeah.
Hello. A very good afternoon. Thank you, friends. Thank you, Siddharth. Thank you, Anurag, for giving me this opportunity to be here on this amazing stage. We've had some fantastic speakers a while ago. The first IWMBuzz Media Summit in Calcutta. I'm really happy and privileged that I'll be having a fantastic panel. To begin with, to set the right tone, I belong to the Orkut era, as some people here call me the grand old man, and spending more than 2 decades, don't go by the hairstyle, I'm fairly old, and spending more than 2 decades in building brand Reliance Telecom, which is what you see today as Reliance Jio. Been there right from the inception. And today we have a very interesting subject, which is all about the future and relevance of television advertising, a bird's eye view. Now, whether we have it as a bird's eye view or birds droppings on your head is what we'll probably deliberate on for the next half an hour odd. We're running short of time, so we'll keep it quick and snappy. I'll start with an AV. Could we have the fun AV to begin with?
यारो जब भी हम एडवर्टाइजमेंट का नाम सुनते हैं हमारे दिमाग में बस एक ही बात चलती है कि भाई इसको जल्दी से जल्दी हटाओ यार। पर यारो जब बात हो फनी एंड क्रिएटिव एड्स की तो पूरा सीन ही चेंज हो जाता है। इसीलिए आज हम आपके लिए कुछ ऐसे ही वियर्ड एंड फनी एड्स को लेकर आए हैं जो आपको हंसने पर मजबूर कर देगा। यारो चलो इस वीडियो का स्टार्ट ही हम उस एड से करते हैं जिसने अपने सिर्फ एक ही एड में सारी ही कंपनीज को रोस्ट कर डाला।
दांतों में सड़न, हाँ। आपको चाहिए ये वाला टूथपेस्ट।
काश मेरी त्वचा भी ऐसी होती।
तुम्हें चाहिए ये वाला क्रीम। टेलीविजन पे धुंधली तस्वीरें तो ले आइए ये वाला टीवी जिसमें है पर्पल रे साउंड और मजबूत पिक्चर क्वालिटी। कमजोर दीवार आपको चाहिए ये वाला सीमेंट, इसमें है 32 मेगापिक्सल।
143
इस सीमेंट में है
कमजोर याददाश्त, आपको चाहिए ये वाला चूरन।
ये वाला याद आया, थैंक यू।
इन्वेस्टमेंट्स में आपका पैसा हमारा पैसा, हमारे पैसे से हमारा पैसा, हमारा पैसा आपका पैसा नहीं, समझे? ऑफ कोर्स।
दांतों में सड़न।
खामोश, इन सबको दीजिए ये वाला च्युइंग गम, सेंटर फ्रेश, जुबान पे रखे लगा।
भाई साहब क्या एड थी यार। और यार 32 मेगापिक्सल वाला सीमेंट कहाँ मिलता है भाई, मुझे भी तो बताओ। सबके दीवारों के कान होते हैं, इसको लगाने के बाद शायद मेरी दीवारों की आंखें भी हो जाएं।
Thank you. Well, that was just a brief snapshot of what typically happens in the advertising horizon. Churan ya ichha puran. That's what we're going to delve upon. We have some fantastic brand custodians who've been curating some fabulous campaigns over the years. May I have the privilege of why don't you do the introductions of my panel that's going to be here?
So we already have our respected moderator on stage. We'll be having the likes of Sumit, Sengupta, and before I say that, I'll request my friends over here to please get the chairs sorted quickly for the panel. And after the chairs are sorted, I'll be requesting all our speakers to join me over here on stage. So, I'll repeat the topic for you all once again. This is about the future of TV advertising, bird's eye view. We're going to be joined on stage by the likes of Sumit Sengupta, Director, Annapurna Swadisht Limited. We have Subhashis Dutt, Business Head, Mohendra, Dutt and Sons. We have Ayan, Bhattacharya, Brand Custodian, Concreto Cement, Nuvoco Vistas Corp Limited. We have Priyam, Ghose, Content Creator and Presenter. We have Muralikrishnan, CMO and co-founder, Wow Momo as well over here. Can I please request all of you to give them all a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, everybody over here in this room. Can I please have some engagement from all of you? Thank you. Are we set with the frames? Yes?
I think we're all set.
So, over to you. The timer is over here, and let's get going. Thank you.
A very warm afternoon. We were supposed to be starting in the morning, but this is Kolkata. As I mentioned, I belong to the Orkut era where advertising and television advertising was evolving. I mean, there were several issues that were nascent in nature, but developing over the years as we see. And today we have a fairly skewed panel where, we have a very young gentleman also who's in his 20s. There's me who's in his 50s, and we have all the in-between guys. 20s, yeah. Murli also is in his 20s. See, we've seen advertising. The panel before us was fairly serious and academic, and gone are those days when we say that you spray and pray. Dal do itna marketing budget, itna spends on ATL, itna dal do BTL mein, and you're good to go. But things have evolved over the years, and we've seen how marketing budgets have got skewed and also squeezed to a great extent, and spends aren't as liberal as it were before. Digital and AI has made a huge inroad into what we used to call our traditional marketing budgets. Without much ado, I'll start with the youngest member. Please give a big round of applause for Priyam Ghosh. Priyam is a fantastic and a very exciting content creator. He's a digital host, and Priyam has a take where he feels that digital and all things that are new are the way forward. Priyam, to begin with, you are an accomplished digital host. If I have to use the vernacular, আমাদের সময় host বলতে আমরা টেলিভিশনে যা দেখতাম, there was Kamal Sidhu, then there was the Kapoors of the world, and there were the Shivani Dandekars of the world. But today there's a digital avatar to it all. How do you define this new role play of traditional television viewing as to new age cricket with digital hosts, with KKR and the likes?
Firstly, good afternoon to one and all present here. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for conducting this session as well. Before I start, I do want to state out loud that TV advertising is still there. If you want to convey a message to a large pool of audience, it's still there. But having said that, we are discussing on a topic which is future of TV advertising. There's a possible question mark right there. And I think the question mark is there. The answer lies when you watch the news channels. Because as soon as the anchor breaks into advertisements, he says a line which says, কোথাও যাবেন না,
সঙ্গে থাকুন, সাথে থাকুন,
আমরা ফিরবো একটা ছোট্ট বিরতির পর, or don't go anywhere, we'll return shortly. And that is primarily because he feels that there's a common perception that people have a tendency to switch channels when they break into advertisements, or they will go elsewhere, do household chores, and not come back to the show. And I think with the outburst of digital advertising, it has suffered even more in the last 5 years. And I feel primarily because of 4 reasons. There is undivided attention in TV advertisements, whereas a brand can directly collaborate with a content creator like me or anyone, or content pages, and 30 seconds reel they can make with the creator, and they will have complete attention or the message that they want to convey of the audience to the audience. So there's dedicated attention as opposed to undivided attention. Secondly, there's freedom of creativity in the digital space. So if you want to convey a message in a certain way, you have the full freedom to do so, which is probably not there on TV because of certain restrictions, limitations, inhibitions. So there's creativity, freedom of creativity right there, which kind of enhances the viewership experience of the audience. If you want to target, number 3, if you want to target a specific pool of audience, then again you can collaborate with a specific creator. So suppose I want to collaborate, if I'm a brand, I want to collaborate with someone who speaks in Bengali and is from Howrah. So you get that market.
Gee, Howrah is in Calcutta. How many people here from Howrah? Can we see a show of hands? I think just a few tentative hands. And there's this pin code war where they say Shodhpur, Kolkata hai. Howrah is part of Calcutta. So, as traditional marketers, we tend to focus too much on the urban, not too much on the semi-urban pockets, which I think a whole lot of creators today have come in from the districts. I look at managing affairs of marketing and brands in an OTT channel called Click. Some of you would have subscribed and seen it also. And where we have a very, very strong focus on content that is being generated, where a lot of this content ethos is from the districts. A lot of our subscribers are from the districts. And while initially I was a little iffy about ishab real feel ki hoy. I mean, what are these people dancing around? In this very auditorium, we had done a premiere of one of our OTT films. And we had a whole bunch of young people from Josh, I think is one of the service providers. And there were people doing cartwheels, there were people with funny makeup, and I was like, what on earth are these guys doing here? And I was educated about how these guys make reels and how content from the film and the Click platform is reaching out. Moving on, Priyam spoke about the real world. I like to delve upon the real semantics of television advertising. We have a gentleman here with us. Please welcome on stage. Ayan Bhattacharya is the brand custodian of Concreto cements. Ekdam buland brand hai, and he's from Nuvoco. And Ayan has spent a fair amount of time with semantics and data as far as television is concerned. He does a fair amount of television advertising. Just to quickly mull over some figures, this last quarter, Hindustan Levers, HLL Unilever has spent more than 350 million seconds of advertising airtime, followed closely by Reckitt. TV and video advertising market is a whopping $6.36 billion in India. Traditional TV ads are half of that, almost, more than half of that at 5 billion. And TV households are there at a penetrative figure of 217 million. Connected TV, as Murali was also discussing a while ago, stands at 45 billion. You have your set-top boxes, you have your smart TVs, and what have you. Ayan, take us through what your brand, Concreto, cement is not a very involved category per se, as opposed to Momo or extruded snacks or even buying an umbrella is concerned. How have you gone about devising your television strategy, and what is your take as far as this new digital divide is concerned?
So, thank you for having me here. First of all, I would start my statement with the fact that e-commerce is the second highest spender in television. So we are talking about digital, right? So e-commerce is the second highest spender, despite being a 14% drop in their revenue in 2023. First is obviously the FMCG sector.
You're saying this despite the tier 2, tier 3 penetration that are happening, there has been a significant drop also.
So ours, or rather any company's focus is in rural market, because most of the urban market is saturated. 65% of India's population is rural. And we as a company, Cement as a company, is focused to tier 2, tier 3 cities. Now, how do you reach tier 2, tier 3 cities? When the internet penetration in India is 52%, out of which social media consumption is about 40 crore people, out of which our target audience, which is 35 plus male or 31 plus male, is about 32 crores. So we don't have an option other than television. That is where regional television plays an important role for us who are present in East and North. For bigger companies, obviously, they would opt for national channels for better CPRP.
See, we are looking at TV and a video user penetration of about a whopping figure of about a 1.45 or a 1.5 billion, by 2028, and it's growing rapidly. The advent of new age technology is also really rapidly growing. And I have with me somebody here who's one of my favorite bachchas, as I call him. Now he's a big grown-up boy. I've known him since his college days where we worked together. I've recently directed a Diwali ad TV commercial for him, which is shown on digital. And Murali is an evangelist, a big flag bearer of the digital forays that brands have taken forward. Murali, if I were to launch momos as a category is very involved, and if I were to, let's say, launch momos in tier 2 or 3 cities like, let's say, an Amravati or a Palakkad, or somewhere in the interiors of Rajasthan, you had a whopping penetration of stores all over India. How many stores do you have now?
660.
660 stores. I think it deserves a round of applause. Here are two young college kids. I take a lot of pride in my alma mater, St. Xavier's, and these boys, Sagar, Murli, all of these boys, they started off, when Binod is again a digital avatar. One of their founders is a digital avatar, Binod. Murli, what has been your strategy and how have you climbed this ladder so far?
I think there are two things I'll cover. One is nothing has changed. What has changed is targeting.
Audiences, clearly.
Clearly, right? You want to talk to this guy, so there will be message that will reach out to this guy. And any channel that is helping you to reach that out, you get going with it. Because money is becoming very difficult in the market. You don't have, so there's no more Sequoia's money is not going to Google anymore, or it's not going to Hotstar anymore. So that's what was happening. Like people were taking funding from Sequoia and giving money to Hotstar. Still they bumped it up, sold it to Reliance.
Reliance ka naam nahi lene ka.
So what has changed primarily is, I want to be part of an ecosystem which helps me to sharp shoot my target audience. That is one. I remember there was Amagi at one point in time, which used to help,
Amagi is no longer around. I don't see much of Amagi.
So it's no more, but I think it was way ahead of its time. It's high time it comes back now. We do something
ahead of
about
its time, clearly.
Yeah, way ahead of its time, and now it's a time where there are a lot of regional superstars. Right, there are so many brands who are realizing that they could actually do something, where basically geography is becoming history, right? So I have a bunch of people. When we launched our store at Tanjore, which was a town 2 or 3 years back, a few years back, a small town, but now it's completely changed. There are 3 malls that are coming up. First day when I launch, when I am standing in front of my outlet, there are this group of youngsters studying in one of the colleges, engineering colleges around, and it was a completely different Tanjore I have seen. Like it's not that Tanjore. To me, Tanjore was that Agraharam. Tanjore was that Nandi temple, the Shiva temple. To me, Tanjore was that that typical small-time town of Tamil Nadu. But I saw a different Tanjore today, that day. And what do I do? What do I choose? Do I choose a Sun TV for which possibly it's sitting at a premium, or do I do Vijay TV, which is sitting at an obnoxious second-ages cost?
No, I'll just stop you here for a while. Murali, there is also this trend where some television advertising is also directed and targeted to, have a very strong impact on digital too, where it dovetails into digital, where I've seen, even your traditional print advertising. I think you guys did a fantastic job with Bounce Back. During COVID, these guys had a fantastic offer where people were not being able to go out and eat or buy or spend on food per se. You brought out that 99 rupees offer where you had a QR code also, where things were leading to digital. Now, it made no sense in having television at that point of time where you were addressing specific geocentric locations, right?
Yeah. So for me, what I needed to do is very simple. I went to Google. I said that, okay, I went to Google. I said that, guys, I am launching in Tanjore and Amravati, Kadalur, which are 3 different tier 2, tier 3 cities, distinct. And then I went into Mysore, and then I launched at Aurangabad, and I coupled all of them. I said, okay, I want to do a Bharat plan. What is my Bharat plan? And what I did was something very simple, Rana, and it will blow your minds. I only targeted regional songs
Songs, as in
regional
playlists.
songs. I targeted, and it was during Navratri which I launched. I targeted all the Navratri songs.
Speaking of Navratri, an interesting anecdote comes to my mind. I was touring, in Latur, then I was moving to Gujarat, and this was the first time I was visiting Guju land, with a whole lot of khakra and thepla in my diet. And there was this another gentleman who had joined my distributors in the early morning meetings, and he said, "Saab, idhar ko latex bahut chalta hai. Latex latest chalta hai." So to the uninitiated bong, selling SIM cards in Gujarat, I was like, Navratri mein latex chalta hai, latest matlab? I was given to understand that contraceptives have a huge, mind-boggling sales during Navratri. And here I was thinking, should I shift to a completely sattvic diet with very pious and holy thinkings in my mind? And now you have Momos with playlists on Navratri. I don't know if he has any special masala in his Momos which leads to more spiritual upliftment.
Yeah, it's like Momos with power.
Momos with power. So I think you could always have a cross-branding deal with JK Propylactics in the future.
So where I was coming is, I was saying that what has changed is the way you want to look at targeting. You don't want any spillage, right? That is one that has changed. Second thing which has changed very clearly is I would say that there is nothing called regional. I personally feel there's something. Content is no more regional. Content is no more vernacular. Content is hyperlocal.
How would you define hyperlocal? We have hyperlocal marts, we have hyperlocal precise targeting.
So what has happened is even if I am sitting in Chennai, I am talking to 4 different or 5 different cohorts of consumers who are consuming varied kinds of content. So to me, vernacular or regional is a thing of the past. To me, how am I hyperlocally connecting with those set of audiences is very critical, which means that how do I ensure that my Pahadi range of momos which I'm launching, and I'm talking about steamed Pahadi momos with filling of broccoli and exotic vegetables mixed with the real taste, the khati masalas of the Pahad. How am I going to sell that to a person who possibly watches only comedy shows? Or to a person who watches possibly only cringe now, or a person who watches pure Jain motivational videos.
So what I do understand from what you're deliberating is, Murali, that while television is all well and good when it talks to a large geographical footprint nationally, especially if you're looking at cricket, IPL, or even election times. I mean, there was always that mandate, yaar L-bands jitne saste mein ho. How many television channels are here? Can we have a show of hands? I think there were a couple in the morning. And the buying, let me just point out here, the buying, especially of L-bands, typically for election and IPL time, skyrockets. But then there is always that fight between digital and television. Ki kisko kitna diya jaye.
Absolutely. Like we do, I was telling you, we do something called playlist.
Playlist marketing on YouTube.
So playlist marketing. So we, on Ghana, on YouTube, on Spotify, we go look at bunch of playlists. I launched my Barish combo with that. I launched my entire monsoon campaign was hinged on one playlist. I was owning the playlist across the country because I know that Barish padti hai, sabse pehle aapko gana sunna padta hai.
Oh, lovely. Since you mentioned playlists, Tip Tip Barsa Pani and the likes come to my mind.
One major point, I'll tell you, one of the biggest money spinners for us have been the entire. I think I'm one of that generation which has not seen a serial for longest time in my life.
I don't own a television for the last 15 odd years.
But I got hooked onto this entire Pakistani serial called Kabhi Main Kabhi Tum.
Fantastic.
And she's become that Fahad Mustafa and Hania Sheikh. They've become a craze all over. Daljit Dosanjh is calling her on stage in London.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very relevant foray that marketers have made into deciding on the semantics between television spends and digital. Murali, you mentioned about Pahadi. I'll quickly move to our friend Sumit. Please welcome on stage Sumit Sengupta. He's a director with Annapurna Swadisht. They make some really Swadisht snacks. I've had the pleasure of consuming some of them. And, you know, right from the 5 rupee price band to higher bands, they're into savories, confectionaries, the whole lot. Sumit, Murali very interestingly deliberated on, you know, geocentric advertising. He spoke about Amravati, he spoke about his, you know, his Darjeeling Momos. You have a brand called Zimba, if I'm not mistaken, where you've typically launched it in the Northeast. And, you know, could you touch upon how television advertising has been relevant, or whether there are these downsides also of spillage? You know, it doesn't make sense for you to have the same channel with its regional footprint in Bengal or maybe Bihar, whereas you might be having other confectionaries which you're launching in an Odisha or a, you know, or a Bihar, Jharkhand, and, you know, in the other states in the east. Just take us through, you know, how you've deep dived into your television strategy and probably have an integrated digital campaign as you plan your launches.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I tell you, we are basically an FMCG company. And for any FMCG company, the main mantra is deep penetration. Means wherever I go, every gully, every lane, every para, every village, every town, everywhere, my product has to be there in the Kirana shop. Having said that, you know, I should boldly say television is still there for us. I don't know about others, but for us, it's still there. How? Because there are three, you know, USPs of television. One is it's hugely captive audience. Number two is emotion, which is connected to our type of product, means our food products like packaged food products. And number three is a long-lasting impression. Okay. Now, while I say that penetration is the main thing in our case, we have to, you know, hire distributors in the micro interiors. Now, how to knock those distributors? You have to have a TVC in the televisions. There are other way of looking into it. As Rana rightly said, you know, a few days before we launched a product, launched a brand called Zimba. It's again cakes and savories as well as you know, snacks product. But we launched in Northeast. There we faced the problem. You know, we wanted to advertise and launch in Northeast that Zimba brand. And while I was approaching the television, other than the Northeastern state regional news channels and the other channels, you know, wherever the broadcasters I am going, they are present everywhere. Means everywhere means in West Bengal, in Northeast, and everywhere. So, you know, for that particular brand, I would not, you know, advertise in that particular television because that is going to create a negative impression in the other part of the you know, other part of the geography wherein my products are not
where your
launched.
distribution has to support.
You know,
See, I'll quickly move on to, since you mentioned, you know, I grew up in an era of Mile Sur Mera Tumhara. Can we quickly have the AV? I think that can be easily seen above our heads on the Cadbury AV. That's the new version.
And there I mentioned the emotion is still there.
कुछ बात है हम सभी में बात है खास है कुछ स्वाद है
Dairy milk.
That's it. Thanks. So, why I wanted to touch upon this, we grew up in that era. You know, the current era had to see a complete revision of strategy where the cricketer, the batsman, is now a woman. The cheerleader is no longer that.
That is why I mentioned that word emotion. It's still
absolutely
there in television.
So television has that power of emotive content driving deep down. You know, it's screw drives onto you.
Emotion is equally there in digital. I'm
I'll just come to you, Mulli, on that. And what I wanted to say was that I worked in advertising, you know, with the likes of Balki also, where some of you might be remembering the motor throttle sound, the phonetics of Hoodie Baba, Hoodie Baba, Hoodie Baba. Balki is coming down to the ad club also this weekend. I really look forward to deliberating and chatting with him. I'll quickly move to nostalgia, and we have a quiet young gentleman here. He is helming a brand which is more than 100 years old. Talk about tradition, and you know, umbrella positioning is something which we were talking about a while ago with the other panelists. Please welcome on stage Subhashis Dotto. He helms as a sign of the famous Mohendra Dotto and Sons umbrellas. Now that's something which we don't really buy too much nowadays. I mean, we have our good old Broly, and you know, depending on the weather, you know, there's a lot of new age umbrellas. Touching upon nostalgia, there's a lot of advertising that had happened in your dad's time, I think with songs. Could you just take us through that deep dive?
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed the way all of you spoke about, and it is quite skewed, as in it's towards the negative side of two of the gentlemen, of course, spoke up for TV advertising. But Shotti Kore, when I joined the business at that point in time, I told my dad, "Chhatar matha. I mean, why do I have to get into this business?" So as you said, the umbrellas, kotojon ar kene.
I love the way he says "Chhatar matha" for the uninitiated who don't follow the Bangla language. Chhatar matha is what rubbish.
So then.
And you said that to your dad?
Yeah, I told that to my dad. My dad said, "You will realize it soon." And then, of course, I continued. And the first thing which strikes us is ego. So you get onto a seat without having experience. You're the son in the family, you get there. So the first thing I said, no, this is not working. You got to advertise. Advertising 101 MBA classes. So you come and implement that. So he said, okay, get me a budget, I'll sign it off. So I got a budget, TV advertisement, radio, this, that, etc. Shuru holo. Didn't work. So no impact on sales, etc. So he said, why did you do this? Brand building, that was my answer. So the brand is already built. 100
Correct,
years,
with 100 years legacy.
So 100 years legacy is done. So why did you do that again? No need. So I said, yes. Then I started having that realization that yes, probably measurement factors are important, not just for the ego boost only. So one thing, of course, brand building exercise for a new brand. I understand TV is one very, very important medium to go through. But of course, for us, it didn't work after 100 years into the business.
I can very well, understand and empathize with what you felt as a strategist in the new era. And I think we have a fair amount of context that all our panelists have deliberated on, how television is no longer irrelevant, it is evolving. And there is a decent amount of overlap and, contextuality between what is the right. I think a panel before us discussed about what kind of spends are we looking at in television and how digital. I'll quickly touch upon user-generated content. I know Shamrat is probably here in the audience here. So is Ayan, where I think they've done a fantastic job with user involvement, where they've started a new podcast series. We spoke about television, now is the era of podcasts, where they've created a digital avatar called Raju Bhaiya, who takes masons. The Raj Mistri is the one who's actually the final decision maker when it comes to cement as an involved category. You have something with, I think, Civil Guruji.
Civil Guruji, yes. Civil Guruji.
How important is user-generated content when it comes to this kind of audio-visual advertising?
Actually, Civil Guruji is not exactly an user-generated content. It's more, he's an influencer. He is one of the best influencers when it comes to home building.
Right.
So on user-generated content, I can share another example that we have done or we are still doing.
You've done all these meme-led
No.
ads.
See, we as a product is a very serious product.
Right.
It's not a trial and error product.
Absolutely.
It's not a Cadbury, 10 rupees Cadbury. So where people can try, if they don't like, throw it off. It's a house. It's a very serious thing.
problem.
So regarding this user-generated content, we had recently launched a Bengali jingle, which was for our product Concreto, which is a water-repellent cement. So it was sung, beautifully sung and composed by Anupam Roy. Now, Anupam Roy sang it, we posted it digitally, it was there was a video which was on social media. There were 6 other regional singers who gave a shout out to Anupam for this beautiful jingle. Now what we are doing is, we are opening the lyrics to the masses, and we are telling them that you compose it and share it with us.
That's fantastic. So that's a fairly high amount of user interactivity and involvement, where you're embedding not only your brand ethos, but you're having people contribute to their thoughts and emotions. I'll quickly wrap up. I don't think we have too much of time.
One small point I have.
Yeah, please.
In UGC, what we've tried to do is,
there are so many of these. We have one influencer, digital host sitting right here. There are so many of your UGC players that you're dealing with.
So what we've done is, so we've realized that it's about owning your, owning the entire, property on World Wide Web, right? If anyone types Wow Momo or anyone types Wow Momo in any of the platforms, right? How do we ensure that the content, which is owning the real estate in that platform, is something which you own? So we have now started populating nearly 2,000 to 2,500 videos a month, across board, across the country, by multiple nano, mini nano, small nano, bada nano influencers.
Nano bolishna dukh hai. Nano isn't there in Cal anymore.
So influencers across the country. And we've ensured that any guy or any person who tries to search for Wow Momo, I am owning my real estate. My real estate is not hijacked by first 20 links of Zomato, then Easy Diner, then Swiggy, and then Google.
Murali, I'll just pick up the cue from you here. You mentioned Zomato and Swiggy. I'll quickly move to our youngest panelist here. Sorry? Yes. I'll come to him, please. You have done a lot of work for the likes of Swiggy, ITC. So, as a new age, content generator, what's your take on how effective this kind of a digital host-oriented content vis-a-vis television spends, let's say? If Swiggy were to advertise on television and Swiggy were to have people like you as content generators. ঘন্টা বেজে গেছে, জলদি বলতে হবে, পরীক্ষার খাতা নিয়ে যাবে।
Hello. If you want to convey, say, more than one message to the audience, I think that's where digital kind of comes into rescue, because, say, suppose you want people to download your app. You can make an ad on TV and probably say that you can download the app. That's just one message that gets conveyed. But if you're making a video through a creator, say a 3 minutes video, he can convey 3 messages. Say, download the app, also do a video, participate in the contest, and then you can also win this. So 4 messages get conveyed, the promotion happens, and that's how I think it helps the brand when it comes to brand collaborations with the creators.
I think that's a very pertinent topic he's touched upon that sets the context of collaborations. Quickly, I'll wrap up. We'll just take a minute or so.
Rana, I just want to quickly, since I have been advocating on television, but on the contrary, if I have to give example of 2 beautiful campaigns that I can remember. One is of Symphony coolers. So that is where digital and AI comes in. So it was a beautiful integration wherein it was a temperature controlled advertisement.
Oh, so that's interesting.
Suppose Delhi has got 35 degrees, so it is programmed in a way that 10 times my ad will pop up.
Okay.
Bangalore has 20 degrees, so I don't show any ad.
See, that's the power of new age digital planning and how
similarly
technology has.
Similarly for Casio, I am taking the names, I'm not very sure whether I can take names or not, but Casio, they understood, rather it was AI that understood the behavior of the consumer. Suppose if I am into travel, so they'll show me watches related to travel. If I'm into sports,
yeah, certainly. I think Ayan has made a very relevant observation where AI and AI-led semantics and data analytics are often deciding, how our media custodians are investing their spends. I'll end with Subhashis, also one of our young science here. Subhashis, you started with Chatar Mata. We have Unmesh sitting here. from Bakura Beams also. He does a lot of this chatar matha and iconoclastic, irreverent content, which is about the older generation. As a new generation custodian of a brand which is more than 100 years old, what is it that you have in mind when you start your new marketing campaign for the next monsoon, let's say?
So আমার ওকে দেখেই ইনফ্যাক্ট ওই ছাতার মাথাটা মাথায় এলো বাট এনিওয়ে কামিং টু দ্য পয়েন্ট অ্যাবাউট রিচিং আউট টু ইয়োর কাস্টমার্স সো আজকের দিনে সত্যি করে বলতে আপনি বললেন ইউ হ্যাভ নট ওয়াচ টেলিভিশন ফর দ্য লাস্ট 15 ইয়ার্স অর সো বাড়িতে টিভি অনেকের নেই বাট দে হ্যাভ আ মোবাইল ফোন ইন দেয়ার হ্যান্ড অ্যান্ড দে ক্যান এক্সপ্লোর n number of possibilities তো সেখানে as I was saying and I couldn't continue at that point in time when a digital campaign was placed in front of my father, because of course he still signs the checks, so
that's a
he
more
was like
relevant point.
Yeah, so he immediately signed it off and said, okay, you can show me the results. Yes, I can. For TV, I can't. I don't know who is watching that content.
I think that's a fair amount of honesty you have here, where the digital semantics have to actually add up to the answerability that you have to your management, where you have to show the ROI. And we'll deliberate on that maybe off stage. We are short of time. We have Principal Saab here breathing down our neck. I think we've had a fairly engaging panel. I hope we've been able to throw some light on how television vis-a-vis digital, AI, playlists, branded content and branded evangelists work in this new era. And having said that, I mentioned earlier that India is getting a penetration of 217 million users, with connected TV growing to 45 million. So television advertising is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. OTT is going to be scaling up hugely. We have interesting panels coming up next with Hoichoi and OTT also. And with that, I'd like to thank all my panelists here. I think...
lastly, I would like to say that in the next 20 years, there may not be a television device.
Yeah, I mean, পৃথিবীটা নাকি ছোট হতে হতে মেবি হাতের মুঠোয় সেলফোনই হয়ে যাচ্ছে অ্যান্ড লাস্ট লাইন এর বেশি করলে কান ধরে বার করে দেবো সব বন্ধ করে দিচ্ছি
Hello. We are opening up a OTT platform also. Okay, that will.
So you technically become my rival from this moment on.
Yeah, I will be yours. So based on that, I was, exploring the digital opportunity for this OTT platform. I was talking to a TV guy. I don't want to name the broadcaster. He said a very interesting thing. They are tying up with DTH. And now, tying up with DTH, if they are doing ad budgeting with you or an ad contract with you, they will take your money based on a complete views.
That's the bang for the buck.
So per complete view, they are having a rate. Your ad will run. You have data analytics in your hand, and there will be complete views. Multiply by that, pay that money. So television is still there.
So all the planners who are sitting here, the Lintas guys, you can always catch Sumit after this. Thank you very much. We've had a very interesting discussion which parlayed between the younger generation.
I had so many notes made.
Ota, we'll take it offline. One of the academic panelists I've ever come across. He came well prepared, and we've been deliberating since last night. I hope we've been able to entertain you with our little anecdotes. Thank you very much. There are some excellent panels. I'd really like to thank Siddharth. Can we have a round of applause for IWMBuzz, Siddharth and his team? Thank you, my dear friend, for the last 3 decades, Anurag Batra. Dr. Anurag Batra gave you the opening session. Thank you for supporting such fantastic young media properties. We hope to engage with any questions outside. Have a great day. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give them a big round of applause. And log bolte hain ki kal kisne dekha hai, kal in log ne dekha hai. That is exactly what they predicted. Sir, I'll request you to be on stage, please. And I'll request Dr. Anurag Batra to please kindly join us over here on stage and hand over the token of appreciation to all of them. Please, ladies and gentlemen, let's appreciate this moment in the best way possible. Give them a big round of applause. Unfortunately, due to time constraint, we couldn't really take questions, but then please feel free to connect with them offline. And like I said in the very beginning, this is indeed the world of social media. So please use that hashtag Media Summit on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, any social media platform that you are using to engage. Thank you so much.